Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well.
I just did a strength workout, so I'm physically exhausted, but hopefully my mind is still sharp for this here podcast.
I was talking to somebody about morning workouts, and she was saying that she'd actually just given them up eventually because she liked how they made her feel initially, but then she was always crashing later in the day. And that was my experience too.
Yeah. So right now I'm on a twice a week cadence with strength training, and one day it's in the morning and the other day it's like 4:30 in the afternoon. And it is interesting to observe kind of the differences between the two. The thing is, like, the more aggressive I get with like pushing it really hard, the bigger the risk that I actually like push myself too hard and I'm sort of wasted for like my prime work time in the morning. So that's always a risk. But then also I feel like I'm not always able to push it as hard in the afternoon when I'm like mentally gassed, because so much of exercise is just a, mental game, not necessarily a physical game. So I don't know.
I went for a walk this morning, which was kind of like a nice thing. Like get in the sun, move my body a little bit. And like there's like this a little fitness area along the path that I walk on. So like I did some stretching and that felt good. Like not spending any actual real energy, but it was kind of a nice start to the day versus just like immediately standing into a sitting or standing in a static position for several hours.
My little walk to the coffee shop that I often take, it's about 8 minutes, and that's often a really great way to kick off a work session for me.
Totally. That was actually my original plan. There's a coffee shop near me, and I was going to go. I went to put an online order in to go walk to them, and they weren't open. They didn't open until 8:15, and I was like, "What kind of coffee?" Yeah, I was like, "I'm awake earlier than the coffee shop. That's not.
That's not allowed."
Yeah, you're supposed to start real early. They're a real lifestyle business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For a while, I don't want to get into it. But they're not always optimizing for the customer over there.
Yeah.
Well, we shipped some stuff.
Yeah, I saw the exciting product updates email, and I feel like that's more user-facing stuff packed into one like update than I've seen in a while.
Yes, that's true. I feel like our shipping pace is picking up, which is awesome. I mean, we added new people, so it sort of makes sense, but it's not a guarantee, but it's happening. And yeah, so we shipped a health check feature, which lets you see the connection health in Tuple really clearly right in the call. Goal of that is to sort of make it clear whose fault it is when things are broken. We have support requests come in sometimes and like, oh, it was like really, laggy or something happened. And then we'll look at the performance reports and it's like, yeah, you have a terrible connection and did the whole time and you had a ton of packet loss. Some of it's like a little bit just like helping assign the blame. Like if we're screwing up, we want to fix that, certainly. If it's a connection thing, we want you to know that it's a connection thing and also offer some advice on how to like remediate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I suspect that type of problem, you can correct me if I'm wrong, seems like 99% of the time it is someone's internet connection that's like causing a poor experience, but people probably like often assign blame to Tuple itself being the source of the cause. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's true. Although we have a fairly technical audience, so people will often kind of realize like what's going on. And they'll sometimes like rate a call low and be like, it was crappy, but it's probably my potato internet.
Yeah.
And so I think we get more leeway than most. And I'm interested in fixing the times. It's our fault. I saw a call rating come in yesterday that said, much blurrier than yesterday. And it's just like nothing changed between yesterday and today. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
We have this weird effect going on, which is if you rate a call and you offer some feedback, like you actually type a thing out, it becomes a support ticket. And people mostly type things out. They mostly type things out when things are bad and occasionally when things are really good. So sometimes it'll be like a 5. It'll be like, you guys are amazing. Oh my God. But probably 70% of the time, it's like a 1 or a 2, and they'll be like, oh, this bad thing happened. And so it creates this impression for me, because I get all these emails where it's like, oh, there's like it's a kind of a constant stream of bad experiences with Tuple. And that's true. Like there is a constant stream of people having a bad time. But then the other day I was looking at our call quality ratings, and like they have actually never been higher. The median rating is like a 4.69 or something right now out of 5. Or sorry, the mean, the average is that. And the median is a 5. It's like we get more 5s than anything else. It's just like it's dominated by 5. So it's mostly like everything's working great. But if you log into the support queue, it's like problem, 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 good thing, problem, good thing. It's like, so yeah.
Yeah, that does present that's sort of the problem I've experienced, Phil, in support all the time, where it's like support skews negative, and that can give you the perception, like it can skew your own perception about how things are going with the business in general,
Totally. Yeah. So I'm sort of hoping that this feature will help people self-diagnose and maybe reduce some of those things, or at least make it clear what's going on. Because we're never going to get to 0 of those things.
Mm-hmm.
There's part of me that wonders, like, if from like a product management perspective, like this sort of feature was like there to like help reduce a false sense that we're getting a lot of bad call feedback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like as we're working on it, I'm like, is this really is there a problem given the current like call quality stats? Like, are lots of people having connection problems or like having bad calls in general? And because there are enough calls, there's lots of bad calls, or some bad calls, but yeah.
I think it's also a helpful feature, for a practical feature for users too, because I was doing a call with Taylor the other day, and he was on vacation. So he was on like hotel Wi-Fi, and I was in a coffee shop where probably a lot of people were, doing Zoom calls or something. So it's like, it could have been either of all our faults, but stuff was just, there was a lot of lag going on. So we had like, 5-second delays or something on our audio. I didn't like go into the diagnostics because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get an answer quickly on like whose fault it was. So this feels like it would have been handy, because I think we were both like considering like switching to tethering or trying to like choose other, types of internet at our disposal, but wasn't really sure who should be making the change, So I think this is good.
Cool. I'm curious to see if it reduces the support requests / helps people like help diagnose what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes if you do have a bad connection, there's not a lot you can do generally. Like if you're on Wi-Fi, if you're on a crowded Wi-Fi, that can definitely cause packet loss. That's a really common problem. So like the answer is like go wired. But if you're like an internet professional and you're not already wired, maybe you can't, or it's like too annoying, or you're not willing to.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, well, can you move closer to the Wi-Fi? Can you change the channel? Things like that. Or can you hop off the VPN?
Yeah, no, that's good. I like it. I think it's
okay. Cool.
I think it's very, very. I approve. You're allowed to ship that.
Okay, good. We don't have to unship it. By the way, I wanted to do a bit this call, which is I pulled up a metric showing how many calls are happening on Tuple, or like have happened on Tuple. So when we started the call, so you and I are talking at like 10:30 in the morning. When we started, there had already been 530 Tuple calls, which is crazy. That's our starting point. So when we wrap up, remind me to check the number. I'm just curious to see how many will go pass by while we're chatting.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah. So the other thing we shipped is this thing we call Knock Knock, which is the ability to join a call in progress. So we've been wanting to do this for a while. We're getting increasing. It seemed like the number of requests for this picked up quite a bit. So I love shipping stuff like that. But it was funny because our engineering team went from like our native engineers went from 2 to 3 recently. So suddenly we were having this problem.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh yeah, like, all right, fine. We're willing to ship this now because we now viscerally feel this problem. And that's not really how it went down, but it kind of had that flavor.
I mean, yeah, feeling the pain yourself has a way of reorienting how you think about a problem for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, which is maybe not the best product management approach because we have a number of customers that are enormous, and so we will miss out on their problems, which is not good. But it's funny. It's like when we hire a 4th native engineer, will we add mobbing? Is that when that's going to happen?
That might be the thing that nudges you over the edge.
But that's nice to get out. Got some nice feedback from people, and like it's really awesome. Like we're doing that thing where we tag the people that ask us for a certain thing, and then follow up with them and say, hey, we have the thing now. And that's pretty cool. That to me is the best.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We also added the ability to ask people to share stuff because we kept having this interaction where someone would like forget to share their screen or forget to share their webcam or something, and you wouldn't want to interrupt them while they were talking. And so we added the ability to just be like, hey, like right click on someone and be like, hey, can you share your screen with me? And it just has a nice sort of like classy way to get that done or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's little things.
So does it pop something up then on their screen and they can just accept it and then suddenly they're sharing their screen?
Yeah,
Nice.
exactly.
Love it. Yeah.
Yep. So you don't have to break the flow.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Which I like.
That's cool. So what was the thing that really enabled this kind of picking up in pace? Is it that you added another backend engineer or a designer or just a combination of all that? Like, what do you think is allowing you to ship faster?
I think it was definitely adding some people. Like the health check feature needed designs and needed UI changes. So having a designer to do that, super helpful. Adding another backend engineer meant that we could free up Mikey to work on the knock feature full time. Mostly came down to people, but also I think we did a pretty good job of defining the scope of these things, like shaping them and setting deadlines and being like, we're going to work on and I was like, we're going to ship what we have on health check on March 31st. And it was like, that's the thing. So be done by then. And so we used that constraint to trim the scope down as we needed to. And part of that was like, okay, I don't know if health check is the thing. It's an experiment. So we're not going to make a super huge bet on this. So like, don't spend longer than this much time. And the folks working on it hit the deadline, which is awesome. We also had, speaking of people, we had Aaron Francis start this week.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is super cool.
First marketing hire.
Yeah. Feels like a new era. Marketing is sort of like an area of the business that you don't technically need, kind of. It's sort of like, well, we need to write code on the product. Like we kind of need to answer support requests. We got to pay people. Like there's a number of like sort of like kind of core things, but like marketing, like I have done some marketing for sure, but you don't need. It's like it feels like the most like investy kind of thing. It's like the most growth oriented kind of hire. So it feels kind of like we're turning over a new leaf of like reinvesting funds in the business to make the business grow more.
Yeah. I mean, you have been doing marketing, obviously, or else, no one would be using your product. So like it's been happening in some form, but it's been more organic, I guess. And now this is a step towards kind of engineering that side of the business more, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, totally.
Yeah. How are you thinking about enabling him to take on projects? Like, does he have a budget? Are you enabling him to like go out and spend a certain amount of money on projects and hire people or freelancers if he needs to get them done? And
it's funny you should ask. I don't think I'm going to quite talk about that yet, but I have a plan. We have a SASE plan for this. I'm not quite sure how it's going to turn out or what that's going to look like, but I think we will be talking about it probably quite a lot if we do the thing I think we're going to do. There is budget. Budget will be made. Mm-hmm. Budget will be had and spent.
Love the passive voice. Mm-hmm. Budgets will be made.
Yes.
Money will be spent.
Uh-huh. I'm interested in throwing money at this beyond just, hey, we hired a person, and seeing what happens and treating it as an interesting experiment, which is very much a thing we have not done so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good to hear because that's something that Corey has helped me think through as we've looked at, different various marketing projects for SavvyCal. Like, he sort of says like a lot of things you can potentially move faster on if you're willing to spend more money. So like budget is a really important thing for a marketer to have at their disposal. And if they don't have much of it, then, you can generally expect things to take longer, if you're just going scrappier mode. I think there's a time. It's just, it's worth thinking through for any given project. Like how quickly do we want to see results? And if we pour more money in, can we get more results faster? And is that better for the business? Is that worth the risk?
Yeah. He wrote a great post about this.
Mm-hmm.
How to budget for marketing as a startup. And it was interesting. He said like the simple thing is like pick the number like as a percentage of revenue. And the range he threw out was like, pick something between 5 and 40% of revenue. Yeah. Which is a big range.
Yep.
And it was interesting to me because until we hired Aaron, we had spent 0% of revenue. And 40% of revenue is a large number. So there's a lot more we could spend on marketing and still be a pretty normal company. I'm interested in starting to pick something between those numbers and try that.
Yep. Yeah. So what does his first week look like? How's he approaching getting the ball rolling on this stuff?
So we met early on his first day, Monday. Was it Monday, I think? Yeah. And I sort of said, here's this crazy idea I have. And we talked it over and he liked it. And so we fleshed it out, and he's writing up a kind of doc to circulate around and say, like, here's the thing we want to do as the sort of main first marketing push. But it's a pretty big project. It's a large investment and will take some time. And so as we're spinning that up, he is looking for smaller stuff. So he did like a little like quick, SEO once over, like set up the Google Search Console, which has never been done. Like checked out Ahrefs, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Just some basic
low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging fruit, marketing tidying, super basics that anyone competent would have done if sort of thing that I would have done if I were more whatever, that kind of person. So he's sort of a mix of things. He also wrote us a great email yesterday. So he's been taking notes, which is the thing that I sort of encouraged him to do, and of like what was not ideal as he's like getting up to speed. Like he has those fresh eyes. So he sent like a whole pile of them over, being like, okay, nothing is deeply broken, but here are some small things I noticed. And it was just like such a great list. It's like, oh yeah, I totally get it. These are all worth fixing. Let's do that. I love that stuff.
Yeah, no, that's good. He's kind of what you want is like a kind of owner level thinker, right? I think that's Rob's way of characterizing this type of person, where they're like, you don't want to have to tell him what to do or tell him what to look at. Like, you tell me what I should be looking at or what we should be improving.
Yeah, ideally, that's kind of awesome, for sure. But yeah, we're in person next week, which is cool. Aaron's coming out. Actually, all three of the people we just hired are coming out. Fingers crossed. There's one maybe in there, but hopefully everybody will be in the office. It'll be awesome. What's going on with you?
I would say I'm feeling pretty good about the progress we're making. We're working on some bigger projects on the product front right now, which have taken a little longer than I initially, thought they would in my mind, but not like so long that it feels like we're really, going off track or letting scope creep or anything like that. So it's just, building software takes time. So it does feel like kind of the bow is being cocked back right now, and we're going to drop some pretty meaningful features in the next couple of weeks that will hopefully move the needle on the business. So I've been investing most of my time lately working on our meeting polls feature. So it's going to allow people to basically send a poll similar to a doodle poll to ask multiple people, here's a set of times, vote on the ones that work for you, and then schedule a meeting. And it's like a top requested feature at the moment, I would say, and opens us up to that kind of, tackling more of the group scheduling use cases, which is where things really start to get interesting, So I'm excited to ship that, and it'll be a free feature too. So I think I've probably talked about this a little bit, but it's going to be dipping our toe into the freemium waters a little bit, and I'm really interested to see how that plays out, because it'll be similar viral loop as our normal scheduling links have, the SavvyCal branding on that anytime someone uses it, and it'll be available for free. So in tandem with that, like I want to try to get kind of even better metrics to the best of my ability hooked up around like measuring the impact of virality. It's like, and there's no perfect formula for this. I've talked to others with similarly like similar products with a viral component to them, and like there's no easy answer to getting a really, really good number that you can be really confident in, but at least get a little better at estimating that, I think would be helpful to know as I'm gauging like the value of freemium,
Totally. Yeah. So are you going to try to calculate some sort of ROI on that or something?
Well, there is like the metric of like the viral coefficient, which is like, tracks basically every time it gets used, how many users does that ultimately bring in on average? So it's just like a kind of a gauge of like how many people are entering the funnel as a result of being exposed to the product from the product being used. So yeah, ultimately some kind of ROI calculation at the end of that trail, I think is what I'm going after.
Yeah, I'm feeling, yeah. I don't know what I'm feeling. I have no, I'm feeling down on freemium in this moment, but I think I'm just tired. I think I'm just kind of in a bit of a malaise lately.
Yeah. Down on freemium for SavvyCal or just in general?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I'm just in a mood, actually. Yeah. I haven't been feeling amazing lately.
Yeah?
Yeah. The business is really good, but like personally, I just feel like kind of like low energy. I'm just kind of like mildly slumpy at the moment.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Kind of a lot of alone time.
Yeah.
Like I've been doing more like Joel and I are now pairing with people remotely more. And so like going into the office sort of makes less sense because like I'm on a call or he's on a call or like I'm going to go into a different room or like I'm just sitting there while he's talking to somebody else. And so it's like less interactive. So I'm doing like more like time from home, which is just like not a great recipe for me for like happiness. So I think it's I think I'm sort of a little bit low on interaction with people.
Do you feel like you're, are you anywhere close to burnout, you think? Or
no, I don't.
Not quite that.
I don't feel overworked. I feel more like the amount of interaction I have with people is not where I want it to be. And like, it's like my personal life or like my interpersonal life is kind of not ideal at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not
social. You're a social creature.
I am a social creature. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like living, Spencer was saying, like, I'm a dog, but I'm living a cat lifestyle.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good analogy.
Yeah. And it's weird because I sort of did it to myself. Like some of it was kind of like circumstantial and like was kicked off a lot by COVID and like people pulling back. But I feel like I'm struggling to get back into a setup where I'm seeing lots of people, where I'm having lots of in-person interactions, where I'm doing stuff in the evenings with people. So it's like, it sort of sucks.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Something to work on.
Yeah. I've been talking to my therapist about it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. That's good. I'm good to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. It's always funny, like coming off of MicroConf where, it's like I both love it and then also feel like this intense sense of like almost overwhelm, I think, because one, it's like for me being an introvert, it's always kind of an exhausting thing. Like I want to spend all this time with people that I haven't seen in a long time. And it was really, really great to see so many internet friends, face to face, but also like sucked a lot of energy out of me. And then I think feeling that and also like, this fire hose of like kind of just business ideas and, talking to other founders and getting inspired by things. But then like sometimes the inspiration for me like crests over into like, oh my gosh, I got so much to do. Like I almost feel too overwhelmed and don't know where to start. And like, I want to do all this stuff right now, but I know I can't. And so then that almost, has a negative impact on my mood. And then I don't know, it takes me a little while to recover from that. So I felt like I had the MicroConf hangover for at least a couple of days. I don't know if you've ever experienced something like that coming off of a conference, but
yeah, generally conferences energize me, being around people like that. I did feel like this year's MicroConf did not, sort of for the first time. Every time I've been there since I feel like I had sort of more good, like really good conversations with people and had felt more inspired, I think, by the speakers / attendees. This time it kind of felt more like we were on the advanced end of the scale. And it was less of me looking up to people and more kind of people looking up to us, which is like pleasant. Like it was cool. It's like, oh, wow, interesting. Like that's a thing. Like we've sort of changed and grown. And like the last MicroConf I went to was 3, I think, years ago. And Tuple has like really changed since then. It was a nice thing to be like reminded of, and it's flattering. But I didn't come out of it being like, oh, I can't wait to go try this and that and all this thing. And people would be like, oh, like what's your big thing you're trying to like figure out here? Like what's your big takeaway or your big whatever? And I was like, I don't really have a thing. Like I'm pretty happy with how the business is going. I didn't come to try to solve like with a particular problem in mind. And I didn't really find any examples of people like businesses or people where I was like, oh man, they've got it figured out. I got to try these things that they're doing. Or like that was such a cool tactic from that person that I really want to implement right now.
I think that's just the nature of it, right? Like if you're talking, and this was like earlier days of MicroConf, I feel like in general, the community was at an earlier stage with, getting getting really like successful with SaaS. So, we had those like early MicroConfs where Jason Cohen was coming and dropping just like, some of the best talks that I've ever seen delivered on SaaS, like that famous one. Those were just like fun, exciting times because it felt like everyone was kind of like saw the potential in this thing and we were all trying to level up our skills and get to this place. And of course, there's always people in that place, right? But I feel like a lot of us who have kind of grown together in this community are just in a different spot where like, yeah, there's not as many like mind-blowing insights that you can like, that you are furiously scribbling down and then going to implement in your scrappy little early stage business, it's like,
yeah. And there's diminishing returns. Sure. Like that Jason Cohen talk, he sort of says is like a goal for the, like you want to build this cash machine, something that will throw off like $10,000 or $20,000 a month per founder. We're well past that. Those first $10,000 per founder per month is like crazy huge, right? Like going from not that to that is a game changer, 100%. Going well beyond that means that like every new step is like it's not a game changer. It never is as much a game changer as that. And so I remember like watching that talk or seeing talks back then and thinking about like dreaming about 10K per founder per month and being like, oh my God, that's just gonna be incredible. And it totally was actually. So like, it's totally worth pursuing that goal. And like that he was right to like call that out as a good milestone. But it felt to me this year, like most people that I talked with at Growth were kind of chasing that. They were around that level a little bit before, maybe a little bit after, but still in that range of like that sort of thing. My feeling afterwards was a little bit like, maybe we're not so micro anymore. I think also if there had been more attendees, or maybe it seemed like in past years there were more advanced attendees, like people that were like further along and they were there to kind of like be the elders and share the wisdom. And this year it seemed like that was less true. Maybe I just didn't bump into them. Maybe I just don't know them. I could have been talking to some people that were like, 5 times our size and not known it. It was the first time I walked away with being like, I don't know, like, should I go check out Business of Software or SaaStr or something? Like somewhere where there's like you have people that are, where we're the tiny fish.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think those are both helpful environments to be in, I mean, it is more of, you're in more of a sacrificial, place when you're the one furthest ahead, which is a good, it's good to participate in that and give back to the community, I guess, in that way. But yeah, but it's important to have the other side too, where you're being stretched, where it's like, oh, if you're ambitious and care about wanting to like level up and keep growing, then yeah, I think it's important to be swimming in those waters too. With the bigger fish.
Yeah, both is good. It's nice to sort of recognize where you are and to be able to pay it forward and like help people as you have been helped. I'm a super strong believer in that. I love that. I think I was kind of hoping to come away more inspired, partly because I am feeling that kind of like slightly drained right now. And I didn't feel like that high afterwards that I have in past years. There's something I feel weird about with advice now around business that didn't used to happen. Like I feel like I was more confident in my ability to dispense advice when I knew less. Like I think that Dunning-Kruger thing is maybe showing up, where it's like as I get further into this game, the more I like get less confident that I'm able to like offer people like really good ideas or advice. And so even though I'm further and further along and there's a bit of proof in the pudding, I'm sort of gaining more perspective on the complexities and like the differences between businesses and situations and what worked for us versus what would work for you. And I feel, I feel weird about offering advice. And I see like these Twitter threads or blog posts, how to choose your market, how to pick this thing, how to validate this idea, how to get 1,000 customers. And I'm just like, you seem so confident. Are you sure that this is like universally useful advice? Because I don't think it is. And I just like, I find myself recoiling from that like bravado or just that certainty, I guess. And I feel more and more like, I don't know, like we had some things that worked for us, but like when I look around, like it seems like our situation was unique, but like maybe your situation is unique too. Like why wouldn't it be?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I feel the same way. Whatever that phenomenon is where you the more you learn, the less you feel like you have generally applicable advice. I mean, because I think it's just true. And I think there's a lot of like youthful like bravado in like feeling like you have some things figured out, and then you go and, spread the word about, everything that you feel like you know to be true objectively. And in reality, that's not the case. Like most advice doesn't necessarily generalize, but I think that's healthy to recognize that. I feel like that's one of the things that I have enjoyed generally about kind of the way MicroConf happens. Like, I feel like there's not a lot of talks coming from the main stage that are prescriptive and fall into that category. Like, I feel like a lot of things are sort of like, here's how to think about problems, or here's how to think about positioning, or here's some tactics that have proven to work well for me, like Rob's talk this year, and I feel like a lot of those are, like delivering wisdom without being prescriptive about like, here is the one way. And I think a lot of, advice dispensing talks do trend towards that. So and I get very skeptical anytime there's like a lot of absolutes being thrown around. So
there's times where I like feel I'm like, I should write a blog post, or like I should post some ideas on Twitter or something. And I feel like I want to just like throw all these caveats on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like, hey, heads up, I'm actually not sure any of this is good.
Mm-hmm.
But like, here's some stuff we did that maybe worked.
Yeah. That's the frustrating part about being on advice Twitter, because it's not a format that's conducive to caveats. So then things come out as absolutes, and then the rest of the thread is just debating around the exceptions to the rule.
Yeah, and it's tiring. It's tiring to like always like explain your caveats too. Like it makes the writing less good to be like, in some like there's just, you have to throw in a lot of kind of not quite Weasley words, but disclaimers sort of, and it makes it less punchy for sure. So sometimes I like see myself doing it. I'm like, I'm just going to delete this phrase because it's like slowing things down.
I just get a little tired of all of that, and it's kind of like, I don't know, just just go do stuff and figure it out. Like, I don't know, like I don't know how to give advice on a lot of things, and I have the same thing where I'm like, maybe I should write a blog post, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe this is not great advice.
There's a line in a Joel Spolsky essay somewhere, and he said something like, "When you read your old writing, you will be horrified at like how certain you were of things back then." And I've had that experience of reading my old writing and having that thought. And I feel like I'm now like seeing it ahead of time now, where it's like, okay, I can anticipate that if I say this thing, like later I will kind of cringe at how certain I thought I was at the time.
Yeah. I don't know. That's where I feel like better than advice is just like storytelling. I mean, that's always been our goal here. It's like, I'm just going to talk about stuff, and maybe it's useful, maybe it's not. It's another case study for you to look at, and I don't know, might be helpful, might not.
Agreed. Yeah. One last criticism of advice
yeah.
is I've noticed this thing where as you dig into it, or as you know more about the story, you see that a lot of advice unravels or is not as good as it appeared. Like people being like, oh, like an example is, I'll give you an example from my own life, which is when I was running FormKeep for ThoughtBot, I at one point like raised prices like pretty aggressively on everything, on all the customers. And for like, at first it was like amazing. We basically doubled MRR overnight because we more or less doubled the pricing. And I remember coming on the podcast and be like, oh yeah, raise prices. It's great. And like, here's this proof. Look, see, it's the easiest thing you can do. And then over the next few months, a ton of people canceled because they're like, this is too expensive now. And it just like started hemorrhaging. And it was like, basically like there was a straight line up and then like a fairly steep line down to like probably about neutral, like more or less where we started. But I also remember back then talking about, how good raising prices is. And like, I feel like for a while, I also like even put in my head, like, yeah, just raise prices. It's easy. It's great. It always works. But then like, the reality is like, that's not the whole story.
Right. Yep. Well, I guess the moral is, be careful dispensing advice. There's some advice that you can take.
Yeah. Thanks, Derrick. I'll be careful. Anything else going on in your world?
I think that's about it for me this week.
Okay.
We could wrap it.
Sure. Let's wrap it. We're at 680 calls now. So 150 calls while you and I were talking.
Wow. That's crazy.
It's kind of cool.
Doing great volume over there.
The volume is nuts. It's getting nuts. We had our first 100,000 call month recently. Yeah, we did 100,000 calls in March, I think it was. It's kind of cool. The fact that there's already been 680 Tuple sessions and it's 11 a.m. is like, what is happening? And I think it picks up too, like because like West Coast is just coming online now.
Right. Yep.
So it's kind of crazy.
By the way, you should do like one of those fancy year-end reports or whatever, like MailChimp does.
Totally. Yeah.
Give that to Aaron.
Yes, Aaron and Hugo, go make a beautiful thing. 684.
Boom.
Yeah, I think a tuple.app/live would be a really cool thing.
Oh yeah.
Well, tell me what you think about this. So I have this vision of like, you know that Shopify does this like during Black Friday, like that crazy like globe thing, and like you can see the orders and where they're going and all that.
Yep.
And I think that's really cool. And I think like it would be interesting to see like calls flying by and ratings coming in and latency numbers and stuff. I think that could be really interesting. I'm a little bit worried that we have like metadata about calls. Like I can see like user A called user B and they talked for 20 minutes and like we can see where like user A is and where user B is. I'm kind of worried that like because of our audience, like developers, like they're going to find even this like aggregated anonymized view into our call information to be like a privacy concern.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Man.
Too much of a stretch? Should worry about it? Shouldn't worry about it?
My gut take is that it's sufficiently anonymized. So like I think just doing like a sampling of across the globe calls between these 2 points, I would probably be comfortable doing it. But I could certainly see there being some objections.
To me, it's silly, but I think, hot take, I think the privacy movement broadly, or like, I don't know, I think people are overly concerned with privacy.
Yeah.
I think there's more noise around this than there needs to be. Not that like I'm like interested in violating people's privacy, but I just think this is, it's not as interesting as people think it is. But yeah, so I don't know. I want to do this. I think it would be really cool. But yeah, I don't want anyone to like. I'm sure some of the nerdiest of our customers, or like some of the the most privacy conscious of them, would be like kind of annoyed by it or something.
Right.
Potentially annoyed by it. And I don't want to flirt with anything where people are like, where too many people are going to be like, WTF? I don't like this.
Yeah. Suddenly you're at the center of a controversy.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we could like add a flag, which is like, don't share my whatever and something. It's like, but. Yeah, no. If we had to do that, I just wouldn't do it, I think.
You could take a little temperature, like a little Twitter poll or something. Just see if if the opinions are really strong in a certain direction.
Yeah, that might be interesting. Okay. Well, thanks for the feedback.
Yeah, you bet.
I think about 690.
No, Ben, you can't just sit and watch that number all day long.
But I need the dopamine, Derrick. That's all I have left. All right. Notes of the show.
Notes of the show can be found at artofproductpodcast.com.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.
Bye.